When we talk about writing a narrative, the best way I've ever found is to use the 7 circles. But that's another video. This is an idea that's like the 7 circles, so this might also work to get your writing going. I call this the roadmap. You just simply draw the neighborhood you grew up in, or the neighborhood you wish you grew up in. So first, you're going to draw your house and your street, and you're going to label it. Now, this is just an illustration, a diagram, a sketch. Don't go into too much detail because that's what you're going to do when you write the story. In your sketch here, just add enough details to start. Just include the parts that are very important, the ones that are very relevant to remind you of the story. Then just draw some of the other houses and kind of label who lived there. You can even draw the houses that you don't know who lives inside because later on we can imagine who lives inside. Then you're going to want to label your way to your school or to your park or to your store or wherever you could walk to from your house. Every house has different things around it, so label what you could walk to. Now remember, nobody's going to go to your house and check to make sure what you wrote is real. This is just a way to get your brain flowing for writing. So if you want to change it from a real neighborhood to a fake neighborhood or your character's neighborhood, or a mix of your friend's neighborhood and your neighborhood, that's fine. This is just getting stories going. Stretch your imagination. Break the rules of reality. So here's my house. It didn't look like this, but it's just a sketch, right? I lived on a street in San Diego called Idlewild Way. We had a clothesline in the back. That's one of the things I remember very clearly. We didn't have a washing machine or a dryer or dishwasher, none of that. We were pretty poor. So my mom washed all the clothes for the kids by hand in the sink until I was like 9 or 10. Behind the clothesline there was a fence, and through that fence I could be in Paul's backyard. Paul was a nice kid about my age. I think he moved away when I was like 17. When I think about my street, when I think about Idlewild, I always walked down the street to Alcott Elementary School. That was my elementary school. It was 2.5 blocks away from my house. We would walk downtown my elementary school from the time I was in 1st grade all the way to 5th grade. I could tell you a story about the first time they let me raise the flag on campus, which kind of reminds me of a story when I was in the Girl Scouts. And it reminds me of another story of when my brother was in Boy Scouts and I had to help out one day. If I went the other way down Idlewild, I would come to a street called Pocahontas Avenue, and that would lead me to the Claremont Theater. I had my first date at the Claremont Twin Theaters with a kid named Chris Stead. Now see, Kristen, she lived next door to me. Well, actually, her dad lived next door. They were divorced, so she would just come over his house every once in a while. But if I go down Pocahontas the other way, it takes me to Cadman Park, where the Little League had a team called the Claremont Hilltoppers. Oh, I got a lot of stories about the softball games my sister and I would play. I think today I'm going to write about softball games. Maybe I could write about the Girl Scouts cookies. I don't know. When I look at this big giant map, lots of memories start coming back, like the ice plant and the cardboard slides and the things I really, really need to write down. Draw your map like this and see what memories or ideas or stories start popping up. These are the seeds of very good stories. Because there are 1,000 stories you forgot from down your street where you live. Remember, you are only a child now. I am done with my childhood, so I have 20 years of memories on Idlewild Way, but you barely have a decade of stories. I say that because I don't want you comparing your stories and your details to the amount of detail that I put in mine. I am an adult. These places are starting points for your stories. You don't have to tell the real story. You can start with the real story and then add different details, things that never happened. If you look at my map for a while, I have a lot of stories to choose from before I start my writing. And today, I feel like writing about my softball team. This is my first draft. Read my first draft silently to yourself. Let's think about that first draft. I'm not very happy with it. There's lots of spelling errors, and it's kind of just one big giant paragraph. But I do feel kind of good that I got some words down. If you can get like 200 words down on your first draft, that's pretty good. But on your second draft, I want you to take out all those irrelevant details that just helped your brain get going. It really doesn't help your story too much, but it does help your brain start flowing. So I did get a lot of words down, but there really isn't a lot of emotion. This sounds more like a report than a story. So I want to rewrite it, and I want to make it sound more sad. A good writer always includes the most relevant details. Don't include every detail in your final draft. Include the ones that shape how your reader is going to think about the character. And today, I want my reader to feel sad. I'm going to rewrite this so it sounds sadder. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read it this time. My street. I am never late. I am not the kind of person who is late. Either is Nova. Nova's my sister. We put our hair into ponytails and that stick out of the back of our baseball hats. We tie each other's cleats. I'm not entirely sure that's how you spell cleats. Off we go. Do you think Dad will come? Probably not. We keep walking down Idlewild Way and turn on Moraga Avenue. Nick will probably be there. I didn't have to look to know that she smiled. It took 15 minutes to get there. Well, I'm going to change that to it took 15 minutes to walk there. And yes, we were the first ones there. There were a lot of cool things that happened that day. Parachutes landed on the fields. Nick bought Nova a soda. We had team pictures. We met our old friends. Wait, I think that's meat. I have to check the spelling again. Nova and I were the last ones to leave. We both wanted to see our dad walk up. He never did. We both wanted to ask each other if the other was waiting for him. We never asked. When we realized we were the last, we left. What do you think? Is this one sadder? I mean, it's better because there's like more paragraphs. Kind of, I broke it up with dialogue. That's kind of better. I don't know. I still need to work on it. This is only my second draft, so I'm probably going to do a third and fourth draft. And see, here's my sister and me. I'm the one with the dark hair. I'm the younger sister, and the other one's Nova there. And here's my dad with all three of us. I'm probably about 9 months old in this picture. You can take your life as the start of a story. And then you can turn the truth and make it a sad story or a hopeful story or anything. You could just start with a map, or you could start with a memory, or you can start with a person that you know. Any of those ways are fine. And don't even worry if it doesn't sound good on the first draft. Nobody sounds good on the first draft. The first draft of a story is just you telling yourself a story. It's the second draft is when you start to think how other people view the story. The third draft is when it really starts to come together. So don't you go thinking you're going to write something the first time perfectly. Just write something. Just write anything. Move your pencil and don't let it stop.